fake to him. Whitlow rolling right on a keeper. Up across the 15. Cuts left at the 20. Lots of room at the 30. Headed to the near sideline. One man to beat. Makes the move at midfield. Coming to the near side at the 30. He's at the 20. He's at the 10. 5. Touchdown, Kentucky.
Welcome into an episode of Believe in Kentucky. My name is Vinny Hardy, alongside Aaron Gershon from the Cat's Paws, former UK quarterback Jalen Whitlow, who gave us that highlight, courtesy of Tom Leach. And we're joined, fellas, by a guest. It's March Madness, but we're talking football first. We got the Director of Performance, the Head Strength and Conditioning Coach, Coach Mark Hill, in the house with us tonight. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing good, fellas. Thanks for having me. How's it going?
Appreciate you coming on.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
My pleasure.
I got to just do this from the jump, because reading up on you, Coach, saw that you're from Lynette, Alabama. So we got Jalen Whitlow and Alabamian on. We just got to step aside and give y'all the floor and let y'all talk Alabama and get caught up on all things Bama and who you know and the connections and all that. Because we had Trevor Fitz on, the UK baseball director, player development. He was from Birmingham, so him and Jalen was talking Bama stuff. So we're just gonna give y'all the floor and talk Lynette and Montgomery right quick, man. We got.
Oh man.
Got
oh man. Yeah, he's from the big city.
Something like that.
I'm from the country, little small 4A school.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Lynette, man. I'm trying to remember. Maybe we had like a basketball tournament or something in high school where we were playing down there or something. But yeah, man. Yeah, from Montgomery. Went to Prattville High School though.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
graduated from Prattville.
6A ball right there. That's 6A.
Yeah, 6A. Well, now it's 7A, but
yeah,
but yeah, it was 6A at the time, But yeah, man, from the Gump, man.
That's what's up.
From the Gump. Small world.
Yeah, man.
Every time he says Prattville, because see, Coach Fitz said the same thing. Oh, okay.
Prattville. Prattville got a tradition, man, in baseball and football.
Yeah. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Some good Roman Harper. Roman Harper's probably the biggest name to come out of Prattville. His dad is a legend. His brother is a legend. His sister is a legend. Obviously, he is. But we had a few, man. We had a few guys come out of there. I mean, I'm trying to think right now who's in the league. We had Derek Moncrief that played at Auburn, played at Oklahoma State. He's in the CFL right now. Currently, but we had a few guys, man, that come out of there and go do something. We had a major league pitcher who was a couple years older than me too. I forget his name. Played for the Braves for a minute, but little Prattville has some talent, man.
Not little. Not Lynette is little.
What's the how many people in Lynette?
Oh my God, probably about if it's 3,000, it's 2,600. Lynette, I'm telling you, Lynette is so small. Every time I go to Walmart, I see at least 5 people I know, and 2 of them I'll be related to.
You guys got Christian Story, right? That's where he's coming out of, right?
Now we got the number of just ballers we got per capita.
Yeah,
it's outstanding.
It's pretty. Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, in Alabama, man. I mean, obviously everywhere in the South usually, but especially down there, man. And you get some dudes, man. I mean, wherever you gotta, wherever the fewer stoplights and wherever you can go hang out at Walmart, man, you probably got some ballers.
There you go. Super Walmart now, though. It's advanced. It's super Walmart.
Absolutely. Well, fellas, y'all feel free to pick Coach's brain. We're a week away from spring practice. Like you said, Coach, most everything is done, and you trying to catch your breath for a half second before it kind of ramps up again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we went strong for about 7 weeks. The plan got kind of changed up because we were supposed to have a couple spring practices before spring break. But with Coach Stoops having to hire, the new offense coordinator, pushed everything back so they would have a little more install time, which was great for us. We got 7 weeks, almost 7.5 weeks uninterrupted training, which was really good, very productive. And so, we'll never complain about extra extra workout times and extra workout dates.
I guess I want to go back a little bit to one guy I think who speaks to just it's always been a recruit, develop, and that starts obviously in the weight room with the bodies. But I was looking for the before and after pictures, but how did you get Josh Allen to where he was, whatever he was, 190 pounds from New Jersey to this big beast who's, in year 6 telling an absolute unbelievable career at Kentucky, and he's having a hell of an NFL career as well. How did you get that work with him to transform his body?
Man, it was a work in progress. It was a 4-year grind, and kind of some ups and downs, and the potential was always there. I mean, he comes from a great family in terms of stock. His sister played ball at Louisville, and got some cousins, and I think his brother played some college football as well. But the potential was always there. It just was up to him to just kind of own in on eating right and doing the things he needed to do. We were going to always do our part, put him in a position to be able to gain muscle mass, but not lose his speed, continue to, gain strength and explosiveness, the whole nine. But the real big gain with him was the summer before his senior year. That's when everything started to click. And that's when you saw, him go from 235 up to 255, running well, getting stronger, not losing a step. And so, like I said, it's really, man, it's between a 3 and a 4 year window of just getting guys to just, do what they need to do, because at the end of the day, we want those guys who are multi-sport athletes. We love multi-sport athletes. That just means they haven't developed yet because they don't have time,
Sure.
And I'm sure Jalen can tell you the same thing. I went from, when I was in high school, I would go from football to basketball, from basketball to baseball, and always doing something in the summer. So you're always going. And so once those guys just, kind of just single in on just that sport, that chosen sport, and train, nonstop training the way they need to train, eating nutrition the right way, good things happen.
No doubt. Yeah, I just, and like you said, I remember, in high school, we would have, kind of piggybacking off your point, we would have, and we still do right now, we have guys who they'll leave a 3.5 hour summer workout and go right and go play a summer basketball tournament the same day. And we got guys, obviously, we need to put muscle mass on guys, and it just don't happen, man, a lot of times, because these guys are doing so much. They're going to a trainer, they're doing this, they're playing basketball. I mean, it's just, I remember when I got to college, I'm like, man, I finally get a chance to, not pick up a basketball, not worry about basketball season around the corner. Obviously, you get to college and you eating everything you can find and you lifting, and it makes it. I mean, we've seen guys jump 20 plus pounds in one off season just because they got a chance to really just eat and do one thing. So that's big, man. I love seeing the growth from guys from freshman to junior or freshman to senior year, because I know how it is, man. That 6, 7, sometimes maybe close to 8 weeks leading up to spring ball, and you grinding, man. You really you finally get a chance to just focus on building your body once you get to college, and that's important.
Absolutely.
Is the lead up or the ramp up heading into spring practice, as far as the work and what you put the guys through, the same as what you do for the season, or do you kind of put them on a different routine and regimen? How do you approach the two?
So it's totally different. Spring practice in college, 15 practice. That's all. You're only allowed 15 practices, and that 15 practices is usually stretched out over the course of 4.5, 5 weeks. Give or take, sometimes 6 weeks. It just depends. So you're really, and at most you're having 3 practices a week, Tuesday, Thursday, possibly a Saturday scrimmage. We're not trying to get in shape for 15 practices. You're not going to get out of shape anyway after such a long season. What we're trying to do in the spring is focus on building muscle, getting stronger, getting faster. We do some things to make sure that, their cardiovascular and their metabolic needs are met, but we're not trying to sit there and get in shape for 15 practices, spread that much. You want everybody to get reps anyway. If you got 100 guys on the team, you want everybody to get reps. And so, because you want to have a chance to evaluate guys in the spring. So that's going to be spread out. When we get to summer training, now we're trying to get ready for fall camp. You want to be able to get ready for those practices that now are going to happen back-to-back days, for a 6-day period. And then for 3.5 weeks leading up to the game. And that's a lot different. It's a lot longer training period, train longer in time that you're training the guys, during a workout, but also longer in the cycle of training. But then when we get to the season, man, everything is built up. So now we're trying to fight for our time. Because when you get to season, they're getting pulled. They got to have their meetings. They got to have practice. They got to have their walkthroughs. We're just trying to get a little bit of time in there to make sure they get some of the things they need so that they can be consistent, so that they can stay injury free, stay tuned up for SEC season, man.
Makes sense. Go ahead, Aaron.
I guess one guy I'm always curious when it comes to finding the balance with gaining, losing, and one guy who's kind of been a good example of that is Ox, right? He went through the whole transformation where he lost weight, tried to gain speed, then he wanted to put it back on. And I thought he played his best ball by the end of last year. I thought he was back to kind of the 2021 version of himself. Just walk me through the process with guys like him and trying to strike that balance. Because I know it can be tricky. Even JJ too was talking about some of the transformations he was making before last year. And I'm sure he'll be back working with you hard this year, going into this year to work on things.
Yeah. So bigger is not always better.
Right.
A lot of those COVID kids that fell in that crack in that 2020 when they shut down everything, those kids gained weight, man. I mean, they came in heavy.
Me too.
And not having done a lot over a 3-4 month period. But Ox was one of those guys, man. He was always a fast, explosive. He reminded me a lot of Josh Pascal coming in. Could run. Strong, explosive, solid. So he's one of those guys that I never worry about his strength. He got amazing strength. But just finding that balance of, okay, I think you're small enough. Remember, you play D-line in the SEC. Let's stay consistent with where we are and be okay. So, sometimes, man, those guys, they see an ab or two, especially those linemen now. They see an ab or two, and it's hard to talk him off of it, man. But, he's found a balance. It's still trying to stay consistent with him and making sure he stays where he needs to stay. Because, like I said, he can always be strong enough to hold point. You know, but we want you to be consistent in holding point time and time again. Because when 315 or 320 in a tackle hits you time and again, man, it's hard to be consistent and hold the point and be what you need to be. If your weight is not consistent.
Yeah. Technology, man. We had some coaches on recently, softball coach. We had we had the baseball guy on. I'm terrible at names, so excuse me for getting the name. But everybody was talking about, the new technology and whatnot. And we see the new technology in the weight room that everybody got on the racks. I mean, we got some high schools around here that got them, and everybody's, measuring how fast the bar is moving and whatnot. I guess what's new, kind of outside of that, because I'm obviously you got the good info, but what's new in this space, man? What's new in the high performance space that, I guess the average, fan should know or should think about or research?
Well, I mean, the new thing is power output. I mean, I won't say it's new, but it's really, really catching on in terms of the high performance power output. Speed, back in the early 2000s, it was like Tendo units. That was the big thing. But they were individual units that you'd had to, bring out, attached to the bar. Now they have the cameras that can measure the speed. There's a bunch of, companies, Kaiser comes to mind, that their machines measure power output. And we really love those machines in terms of seeing how, powerful our guys are. We measure them on that. But, like you say, they have the camera systems now that track your bar speed and do some amazing things and check velocity and see different things like that. GPS units, huge. GPS units now will, not only just measure your speed, measure your total distance, high speed accelerations, just different stuff like that, man. And those things are like huge. I mean, back in the day, man, you know, you went 2 practices. It's no telling how much you ran. You know, you just knew your legs were dead.
Yeah.
But now you have the, you know, quantifiable proof that you can look at it and say, okay, this receiver went 6,000 yards, you know, in 2 hours and 45 minutes. He had this many high-speed movements. And so now you're like, okay, I got to think smart. I got to be smart in what I do. Hey, make sure you recover the right way. Do this, do that. So it's just the technology is amazing. And not even that, man. I'm going to tell you, the recovery modalities are just insane now. I mean, back in the day, it was like, you're done with practice, go, you know, get in an ice bucket, get in the ice tub, or, you know, sit there for 10 minutes and do that. But now you got compression, you know, Normatec things, you got cold, hot tub, you got all kinds of things, man. Vibration technology out the wazoo. We do massages with our guys. You know, it's everything that you need to get back to where you need to be able to recover, to be healthy, to be able to come back to practice, you know, the next day and perform at a high level, you know, and not get injured. The big thing is, you know, staving off injuries, man, because you can't get better and help the team if you're not healthy.
Right. Yeah, I remember, you know, I'm sure some fans, you know, probably like to hear about this stuff, but Eric Korn was a part of the staff when we were there, when I was at Kentucky. And I remember 2013 2013 when Stoops got to Kentucky. That summer going into the season, they were giving us this like Omega Wave thing, and we had this app on our phone. We used to have to wake up in the morning, and you attach it to your forehead. It's connected to an app, and you sit there for like 5 minutes, and it like give you data, of like how well you're rested and whatnot. And I thought that was extremely interesting because we started wearing the Catapult GPS system thing, and that was the first I ever heard of it. I'm not sure if anybody else was doing it at that time. But, you know, Eric Korn was really into that type of stuff. And I remember he had these sleeves we used to wear. He used to give the quarterbacks for our elbows and whatnot from throwing and whatnot. And I'm like, man, this dude, at the time, I'm thinking like, this is the most cutting edge. I'd never heard of it because, I mean, I'm coming from high school in Alabama. We don't know about that stuff. So he was giving us so much stuff, man. And you know, having us, you know, go in and do, you know, the ankle testing that can measure your strength of your ankles, and the groin testing machine. There's a machine or a little, you know, apparatus they put between your knees. You got to squeeze, and they can measure your groin strength and whatnot to keep you figure out if you got one side dominant or the other. It was just so much, man. And we were like taking a lot of time of our day, you know, doing all of this new stuff that involved technology. So I thought that was interesting. And now you see kind of everybody doing it, right? We see high schools in the area where I'm at in Georgia. I mean, they're doing all the Catapult stuff, and they got high performance coaches and whatnot. So it's just funny to see how much has grown, you know, in such a short time. But I'm sure there'll be some more stuff come out soon. And I like that type of stuff because, you know, I think it's real good to, you know, teach these kids, man. Obviously you want to work hard, but, you know, working smart too, and knowing, you know, where your body is. It's just making them more self-aware at a younger age to be able to take care of their body and know how to get themselves ready to perform high.
Absolutely.
So as a director of performance, with all this new stuff coming out, like Jalen talked about, new stuff when he was there, and even new stuff that has come since he just left a few short years ago, you being a director of performance, are you quick to adapt it, or are you like, let's see how this is first? Because we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we want to be cutting edge. How do you find the balance as to jumping on every new thing and maybe it's not a good idea, and maybe I need to jump on this and I should have, but how do you know which way to move and how to act and you know, with all the new stuff? And
fortunately for me, Corey Edmond and myself, we have a dual role. So we run the program together, and it's a great partnership. I mean, you're talking about somebody, he was my strength coach in college, got me in the business, helped me get to Kentucky, you know. And so it's one of those deals where we can bounce stuff off each other. We have so much experience. The one thing that you don't want to do it's just jump head first into something because it looks good or it's the new wave and whatnot. Educate. You have to educate yourself. You have to educate yourself on every single thing, and see if it fits what you're trying to do. Companies will let you test equipment, and I'm talking about for 6 months or a year. And us as strength coaches, that's when we have fun with stuff. Just to see how we can use it. How can we apply it? Does it make our guys better? Does it add to what we're trying to do? Does it take away from what we're trying to do? You have to ask yourself all these questions. You have to find that balance. There are things that are tried and true. If you go back to see what Rocky was doing when he fought, the Russian on the movie, some things are just tried and true. I mean, I'm being dead serious. But there are things that you can't get away from doing. Yeah, there are things that can be better. There are things that can help you improve. And fortunately, we have a great, athletic budget that we're able to afford a lot of things that, a lot of smaller schools can't. But at the same time, it's not about just spending frivolously. You have to, be smart in what you buy. And it has, like I said, if it doesn't make you better and it doesn't fit what you're trying to do, why do it? And that's the thing about it. All the recovery modalities that we have, we use all of them. The things that we use for power output, the GPS units, something as simple as, we have some equipment. It's called a run rocket. A run rocket is a resistance training device. So it's essentially a sled. But with the sled, once you get going, it gets easier. With the run rocket, once you get going, you got to continue to go a little bit stronger because the resistance increase. But then you just walk back and it's ready to go again. It's just something that, something as simple as that. So it's not about just getting toys. It's about getting the equipment that's going to be beneficial to the team in an effort to make them better,
Are you and Coach Ed finishing each other's sentences at this point?
We do. Oh, it's kind of scary. I mean, you're talking about somebody that has known me since I was 17 years old. I'm going to be 47 this year in August. And so, we worked together, all the time in college, helped me get to Oklahoma, worked with him 4 years there, went to Arizona for 3 years. And then I branched off and, became a head strength coach. So it's just all that time spent just, just helping each other get better. I was his guinea pig. He all the stuff that he's doing, that he did as a head strength coach in Arizona and NC State and here, I was his guinea pig way back in like 96 and 97, man. And now I always mess with him. I say, man, if you had some of this stuff that you have now, when I was in college, I might still be playing. or at least had a 10-year NFL career. So
exactly.
So when you're talking about adapting, I guess one thing everyone's adapting to is the transfer portal. So when you get guys from different places, Georgia, got a couple from there this year, wherever, how much are you learning from those guys that have things that are working for them? And also, just getting them to buy into what you guys are doing. It's obviously a little different now where you're just not everybody you get is out of high school learning it your way only.
Well, it's always going to be a difference. The great thing about having so much experience and being comfortable in yourself as a strength coach with Coach Edmond and myself, we are extremely comfortable in what we do. We believe in it wholeheartedly. We've educated ourselves on it. We're proficient and fluent in it. Everything that we're trying to coach and teach and do with our guys. And the buy-in happens quick, once guys see what we're trying to train. And so, yeah, everybody's benched, everybody's squat, everybody's done Olympic lifts, et cetera, et cetera. But there may be a few nuances of things that we do that guys haven't done. And once they see the benefit, even if it's different, even if they haven't done it, a lot of it is just that competitive edge. So when you throw guys, the great thing about a transfer, you just throw them in the fire, So you're jumping in a group with 20, 25 seasoned guys who have been through everything that we've done, for a couple of years at least. And then you see those guys start firing off stuff. We say, hey, okay, here we go. Let's go a double skip, then do straight leg run, straight leg to a transition, a bleed transition. put the weighted pants on, do this, and then they're just flying through it, and it's looking like, oh man, that looked kind of crisp, you know. And then okay, well let me try that. Wait, coach, show me that again, and then that just drives everything, you know. And then you have those guys who ask, coach, what is this benefiting? What are you trying to do with that? And I don't mind the question, because then I can instruct you and tell you exactly what we're trying to accomplish, where we're trying to go, why you don't need to do it that way, why we want you to do it that way. And it's one of those things. So it's all about adaptation, man. If you are a guy that's transferring, you're in the portal, especially an older guy, you know there's going to be some things different, and you get your mind accustomed to it, you know. And so, you know, with us, hey, here we go. This is what we're doing. You don't know, if you don't think we know what we're doing, you know, read our bio. You know, between the both of us,
look at those Josh Allen picks.
You know, yeah, shoot, Josh Allen, James, it's so many.
Oh
guys, yeah, so many guys.
Absolutely,
for sure. I'm gonna flip it back to you for a second, Coach, because coming out of Lynette, you went to UTC. 100 catches, over 1,300 yards, averaging 13 yards a catch. Man. You came right in there a little bit after T.O. just came through UTC. So what was it like hitting as a receiver, playing the same position, coming in kind of right after he's heading out?
Man, you know what? T.O. was a senior my freshman year.
Okay.
So he was the reason you know, we had 3 senior starters at receiver. So my first year, I played corner. One of the things that made me want to go to Chat was they told me I could play receiver or corner. A lot of schools wanted me at corner. And so I wasn't, you know, man, I tell guys all the time, look, you know, guys talking about blessed to be a 3-star, blessed to be a 4-star. I was just glad to look up at the stars and know I had the scholarship. You know, I was like the 6th or 7th best guy on our team. And, you know, Christian Story laughed when I told him that. And he's a guy, you know, Christian's a guy I've known for years. He's from Lynette. I know his people. I know all his people. Mom, dad, cousins, uncles, everybody. And he laughed at that. I said, no, man, we really had some dudes, you know. And so I was a guy that got noticed while they were recruiting all those guys. So I went in the Chat, man, and I had to develop a little bit. And, you know, like I said, with T.O. being there, it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch how he moved, man. I'll never forget, man. We, you know, back in the day, you had a couple of days of freshman camp, freshman tour days before the varsity came back. I mean, the varsity would not even be on campus once the freshmen were there. And I'm talking about, so when the varsity got back, you know, you've had 6 practices in. And so I never forget, first practice, the varsity come in, you know, I'm going down there to get my ankles taped like they tell me, you know, and I walk in, man, and I see T.O. This joker is 6'. I'm like, that's a wide out? You know, I mean, just check. And then here comes Mario Greer. Mario Greer was his transfer from Clemson. He was a fullback, got drafted by the Patriots. He was like 5'11 and a half, like 235. And he walks in. These jokers got their shirt off, and I'm tucking mine in. I'll come back and get my ankles taped, man. I feel kind of small just being around those guys, man. But it was just good to see, you know, the evolution of T.O., man. I mean, he was a dog. T.O.'s from Benjamin Russell, Alexander City.
Yep.
You know, home of Russell. You know, so Russell Athletic. But it was in hindsight, looking back on it, it seems kind of surreal, right? Because here he was, just humble guy, man. You know, drove a 81, 79 Nova. And he parked that thing after our last game that year. He parked it on the side street. You know, that thing stayed there for 2 years till the city towed it. And then he came back the first year in an Explorer, came back in the next year in a Mercedes. And it was just the evolution of T.O., man. But he worked at it, man. He really did. You know, he always said one of the best things for him was having Jerry Rice and showing him how to work and showing him how to do some of the things, man. And he would come back and shoot, we were soaking it up as young guys, you know, just trying to figure out how to be better.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you hear about, you know, say a basketball guy that's, you know, tall, good at basketball, but doesn't love the game. Mm-hmm. Say you got a a guy that's good at football, but doesn't love the weight room? How do you push those buttons? How do you motivate? How do you get them into, well, look, you know what you got to do to be ready to play the game that you're good at, even though, you know, guys that don't love the workout aspect?
Well, it keeps coming. It keeps coming every day. Every day you walk through that door, it's coming. It's not about what you like or what you love. It's going to be easy. It's going to be challenging. If you just come in there with that attitude, I have guys that despise squatting. Everything about them, when they put that bar on that back, is like, they'll just, you know, and I tell them all the time, I say, look, first of all, you're not going to stop squatting, you know. Second of all, if you tell yourself and you approach things with that attitude and that negativity, your body's going to respond to it. It's going to be that much harder, you know. So it's about, just like you said, pushing buttons. You got to find the button. You got to find the right button to push. And everybody's button's not the same. Some guys you don't have to motivate. Some guys you have to, you know, figure out what gets them going. Sometimes I just make them look. I say, hey man, you see that guy right there? You know, little freshman, mid-year DB corner. I say, that's Chip. Okay. Chip's about 225 right now. I said, if he comes around that corner, you got some decisions you got to make. He ain't moving.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to squat now, or you want to wait till Chip run through you about 2 or 3 times this spring? You figure it out. I mean, one way or the other. You know, because I'm serious. I tell them all like that. The smaller guys, I say, listen, you're going to have to tackle that guy, and you're going to have to tackle that guy. And you see what he's lifting versus what you're lifting. So I can get you there. I can get you stronger, but you got to have the right attitude to do it.
How'd you approach it, Jalen, as a quarterback? And you're a tallish kind of guy, slender built, but you know them strong, slim guys. So how did you approach the weight room?
Man, me and my brother played quarterback in college as well at Gardner Webb. Yeah, but he started off at Western Carolina. We were talking about this the other day, how you come in the weight room as a freshman and you just like shit. Like, you're like shit. I don't know, man. We got a long way to go. But you know, I just remember coming in the weight room, seeing guys like Bud Dupree walk in there. And I'm like, dude, like this is, and at the time he was playing Mike linebacker when I got to Kentucky. I'm like, he's 6'4", 262, or whatever he was at the time. And I mean, these guys are going in the weight room. Do y'all remember Coach Sheik Williams?
Yeah.
Played running back for Kentucky?
Yeah.
Coach Sheik Williams was a running back my freshman year. He ended up getting hurt the first game against Louisville. He did something to his hip, and he kept playing. And it got to the point where they said, yeah, you know, I think he had a hip labrum. But I remember my freshman year, the first week we walked in, or it was our first testing week or whatever. He had 7 plates on the squat rack, and he was 185 pounds playing running back. I'm like, that kind of changed my, you know, I seen strong guys, man. We got some Prattville country strong dudes, but I've never seen a guy that small lift that much weight. You know, and I come in there at 6'2", 205, you know, and you have to change your mentality, man, because you go in there, these are grown men. We had a tight end on our team who was like 23, 24 at the time. You know, I'm walking there as an 18-year-old freshman, and we look around like, dude, we ain't ready yet, man. We got a long way to go. You know, and this back when freshmen were playing, but not like they are now. You know, these kids now come in a little bit more ready than what we did even, you know, 12 years ago. You know, it's a big difference now. So, but yeah, man, we walk in and it's like, it's a difference. And like Coach was saying, it's a mindset, man, because, you know, you got to have the right mindset, because it's easy to be, you know, you see guys go one or two ways. Some guys be like, man, I'm going to just like chill because I know I got a long way to go. So I'm going to just wait till that time pass. Mm-hmm. You see some guys where they like, I'm a dog anyway. I'm about to get with it. And you see some guys who kind of get in that middle. I was kind of in the middle where I didn't have a choice because I was getting thrust to a position where I was going to play. And I wasn't necessarily ready to play yet. So I had to kind of start taking it serious. I wasn't necessarily, you know, mentally mature enough to get in there and be like, okay, I'm on my own now. I got to take this thing really, really serious. It took for me to be thrust into a position, to play as a freshman, to get to that mentality to where, okay, I got to take this thing a lot more serious. I got to take care of my body a lot more because it's a big deal, man. You get hit by dudes who, 300 plus pounds, and these grown men, then they going to play on Sundays for a while. So it's a different world. So you got to build your body up. But I think the most important thing, and I tell all our guys I come in contact with through coaching, I was like, you got to build your mind up because it's a mental thing. At the end of the day, you'll gain the muscle. Like Coach said, he'll help you put on the muscle. He'll help you put on the strength. There's good strength coaches out here everywhere. And I think especially, because I remember being around Coach Ed, and I was like, this dude know how to bring the best out of us. He was bringing the best out of us, my sophomore year. And I'm like, okay, you're going to get around good coaches, but at the end of the day, he can only do so much. You got to come in there with the right mentality.
Right.
You got to have the right mindset. That's the reason why some guys play and some guys don't. And sometimes it's not really the talent, man. It's the mentality. You got to have a certain mentality when you walk in there. But, like Coach was saying, it's right, man. You got to make that decision. When you look across that weight room, you see a guy who's a lot smaller than you, doing a lot heavier weight. You feel bad about that. Your ego get involved where you feel like, man, this dude, 15 pounds lighter than I am, but you'll never know. He's throwing up weight like he's a D lineman. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta make a choice because at the end of the day, once that ball kick off, it's too late. You got the choice has already been made. So it's a mindset, man, and it prepares you for life too.
Yeah. Welcome to football moment. Welcome to college football moments help with that too.
No doubt.
And we've all had them.
We've
all had them. Harold Morrow played with Auburn, played fullback in the league for like 10 years. I'm sitting there counting. I'm on kickoff return. T.O. was returning. I'm sitting there counting like I got R3. Wait a minute. Listen, I didn't back down. But I was looking up after he hit me. It was one of those deals, and it was just that, a welcome to football moment.
Sure.
Coach, the head coach, must have rewound that about 10 times. Mark Hill, I get what you were trying to do, but son, welcome to college football. And after that, man, I didn't have a choice, get stronger.
Yes, sir.
Man, unbelievable. Man, Coach, we enjoyed this. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
On a bit of a spring break-ish, and you still hopped on here, man. So you dropped a lot of knowledge and a lot of insight, man, and all the results you got. And, we see the Flex Fridays on Twitter. And, Josh Allen, like Aaron talked about, Jamin Davis, all the work you guys put in and getting the guys there. And we appreciate what you do and getting these guys ready each and every Saturday, spring practice, season, all of that, man. Appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Undervalued, overlooked, man. That's what we are. You don't know what you need. You don't know what you need till you don't have it, and you know what you got when you have it, in terms of, a good strength coach, a good strength program, man. So it's one of those deals. We love it. We appreciate it. And no matter what we do, we're going to work and get the best out of our guys.
Yes, sir, man. Definitely appreciate it, man. Have to get you back on here sometime again, Coach.
Absolutely.
Man. Thanks for taking the time, man.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
All right,
you
man.
too.
Appreciate it.
Coach Mark Hill, Director of Performance and the head strength and conditioning coach at the University of Kentucky. In here dropping knowledge, man. A lot of good stuff, man. A lot of good stuff. Appreciate him hopping on here. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll talk some basketball here in a second, but everybody can also get swag for listening, earn points for listening, because we partnered up with the Autograph app. Consolidates all the content. You can get rewarded for listening to this show. The team at Autograph, co-founded by Tom Brady, is redefining the fan experience by letting users earn points for the acts of fandom they take every day, like listening to this podcast. The Autograph Fandom app gives you access to all your favorite Kentucky content in one place and offers rewards like tickets, exclusive merchandise, and more. You're already listening to our show, but now you can earn points and get rewarded for it. Head over to the Apple App Store and search for Autograph Fandom Rewarded and download it for free today using referral code BELIEVE Kentucky, BLEAV Kentucky. The link and code are also in our podcast descriptions. Y'all get over there and get on the Autograph app. It's got a leaderboard, keeps your stats. Every article you read, podcast you listen to, every referral you make, you can move up the leaderboard, get a chance to win swag. They're giving away tickets this Saturday to the game in Knoxville. They were tickets for the Arkansas game, the Alabama game at home. They got March Madness packages in the works, trips to win, prizes. You can go to a suite and catch some tournament games, all kind of stuff in the works with the Autograph apps. Y'all check that out. Our podcasts are on there. Every episode we put are on there as well. So good stuff, man. Talk a little football. A week from now, spring practice, April 13th, spring game, Saturday at 1 o'clock. So all that is right around the corner. And right now we're looking at March Madness. Regular season's over. We got Vanderbilt losing to Arkansas, I think.
Yep, overtime.
Game, Yeah. So.
Look at the crowd there, by the way. Man, that looks good. For Wednesday night, 4 worst teams in the conference.
I think that might be the best ever because usually
I can't. I mean, it'd be – yeah, dude. It's it's impressive. So I'm looking forward to getting down there. I'll be there tomorrow in time for the Ole Miss Texas A&M game that'll determine who Kentucky's going to play on Friday night. But it should be a heck of a tournament. I know that to a certain Kentucky head coach, it doesn't mean much. He downplays the hell out of this thing, and but it's great for the fans, the players to get that playoff feel. And I think for Kentucky's perspective, if you're going to downplay it, that's fine. But I think the biggest thing outside of winning, get Trey Mitchell right, man. Like, let him play a little bit, extend his leash, and try to work him back, because it's gone. And, credit to Justin Edwards for the way he stepped in at the 4 on some nights, some of the 7-footers doing some good things where it's kind of made you forget. But where would this team be as far as a resume without Trey Mitchell the first 3 months of the season? I mean, he was as good as any player on this team, maybe outside of Reeves. I mean, he was averaging 13.7 per game, leading the team in rebounding, had a couple double-doubles. That game down in Florida, he carried the team in the first half to even keep them in the game to where they were able to come back. So I think, outside of, playing to win and getting, the freshmen, their feet wet in a playoff-like environment, I think getting Trey Mitchell on track is the biggest, most important thing in this SEC tournament for Kentucky, where, if you win it, that's great for the fans. But we all know with how the SEC is and the money deals, the fact that they play the championship on Sunday, it doesn't mean anything for your resume if you win it all.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 2 times, real quick, the last 2 times they've won the national championship, they lost in the SEC tournament title game, 98 to Ole Miss, right? Ole Miss. And then obviously to Vanderbilt in 2012. Was it Ole Miss in 98? Might not have been Ole Miss.
I remember 96 lost to Mississippi State. I don't know.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking. Let me. I'll do a quick.
Because
Google search.
That was Dante Jones in that squad.
My fault. They won. So 96. I'm thinking 96. Yeah. Okay.
90.
My fault. They beat in 98. They beat South Carolina. So 96. They lost to State. My fault.
Yeah, and that Mississippi State team went to the Final Four too.
Yes, they sure did.
They were there well. So that was the squad. Eric Dampier and those dudes, man. They
right. So 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're right.
Including Cal.
Yeah, and the fans just kind of want to see, a deep SEC tournament run and a deep March Madness run, because neither have happened here in a while. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's where the hunger comes in. But
yeah,
it happens to be. There's a lot I disagree with Cal on the SEC tournament and treating it as like a tune-up and not an end-all be-all. I do agree with that. I mean, I could see why he's scared, man. Look at what happened to PJ Washington a couple of years ago. I know that he was able to get back in there and play the second weekend, but was he himself? We'll never really know, right? So I get it. I get all that, and I get it. I get both sides of it, but I really do think you got to take advantage of this and get Trey Mitchell right, man. Can you imagine if they get the Trey Mitchell from beginning? I asked Duthiero that today. Like, if you get Trey back to what he was doing with the way Justin's playing now, He's like, that's scary, man. You're talking about 7 dudes who can go score.
Yeah, and I think I mean, he's such a veteran and such a he's an old guy. He's 23, 24, but he's even more mature than his age. He's such a wise beyond his years type dude. As far as experience and knowing what to do to get himself there, I think he will see him back to form. When it counts, at some point they're gonna need him. As good as everybody else is, there's still gonna be a lot of people talking about Gonzaga, how he would have helped defend their post players,
Sure.
and got lit up in the paint as much. So I think he's he knows what it takes to conditioning and getting back, and it's a long road, but I think he's going to be able to work his way back
and that's why I think you got to use these games for that, because you can't use the NCAA tournament games for it. You can't if he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. But you could use these games, especially Friday. I would think they're going to play Texas A&M. I mean, Ole Miss has been really playing bad basketball down the stretch. Anything can happen.
Somebody's got to win. To me, both of them, neither one of them are that impressive. Somebody got to win it. That's the way I feel about it.
And A&M's a tough matchup for Kentucky, though.
Yeah,
just because they got the 2 guards and then they rebound the hell out of the ball. Like, that's the type of team that's giving Kentucky trouble. So I actually think if you're Kentucky and you want to use this to prepare for the NCAA tournament, I'm rooting hard for A&M, right? I know fans are going to be like, Ole Miss, please, they suck. But A&M, man, they match up really well with Kentucky. They got 2 really good veterans in the backcourt. They rebound the hell out of the ball in the front court. They're playing for their lives because Ole Miss is done. Unless they win this whole thing, they're done. A&M, they need to win Friday and Saturday to have a shot.
How frustrating though! How do you beat Kentucky, Tennessee, and then lose to the teams they lost to? How lost to Vanderbilt, lost to
at
a
home.
lot of how?
No, Vanderbilt was on the road. Who'd they lose to at home? Arkansas at home.
So I mean, they've lost to inferior teams all year, and then
they do it every year too. It feels like
ridiculous. Just head scratching, man.
But you know what? They play really well in this tournament. Remember 2 years ago, I think they were the 8th seed and they got to the championship.
Yeah,
that was a really good Arkansas that year with that Arkansas team that went to the Elite 8 with Williams. Who was the guard they had that was really good? Oh man, JD Note.
Oh yeah.
So they beat that team. They beat, I think it was Auburn, who was the number 1 seed in the tournament that year. Like you said, this year, man, lost at Vanderbilt in that buzzer beater. They have a home loss to Ole Miss. They beat Ole Miss on the road in their last game by 26.
Look, the Vanderbilt loss was Vanderbilt loss was fluky, like Kentucky's lost to LSU, but still,
you can't get it in that situation.
There's no asterisk that says it was a fluky loss to Vanderbilt.
No, just like the Kentucky loss ain't a fluke, right?
Yeah. So Friday, probably A&M, like you said.
I would think so. I mean, anything could happen, but if I'm Kentucky, I'm rooting for that.
What seed does Kentucky get on Sunday? If you got to call it right now,
I'm going to go with a 3. I'm going to go with a 3. Yeah, maybe if you win both and get some help, you can move up to a 2. But I have a hard fans don't want to hear it, but the Wilmington loss is going to carry some weight. It has to, right? If the regular season matters, you should get rewarded and punished. And you look at the other teams who are on that 2 line. I'm blanking off the top of my head. Probably Arizona or Tennessee. Whoever doesn't get a 1 will be a 2. North Carolina is going to be a 2. None of those teams have a loss like that, and like it sucks. It's unfortunate. Kentucky was with they were still they didn't have Ugo or Z yet. Bradshaw was his first game back.
Wagner out there.
DJ was out. DJ was out. You're Kentucky hosting UNCW at the end of the day. So
yeah. Oh well.
And LSU was a quad too, I think, right? So, yeah. I mean, there are teams in Florida's now a quad. There are teams with better resumes, I think, at the end of the day, though. Kentucky has 4 of the best wins in the country if you're going to use that with the net. So, I get both sides of it. I would, if I were to guess, they'll be a 3. They'll be a 3.
And 2 weeks ago, it was, it was kind of getting to be a crossroads, and now they've won 7 out of 8. A buzzer beater away from being 8 in a row.
9 in a row. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, when we went after the they lost the 2 games to Tennessee and Florida, and then Gonzaga, and they had one quad 1 win with Carolina, and we're all like, are they in trouble here if they keep losing? And they've had an amazing, run these last 9 games. They've been outstanding, and there's a lot of are they going to get the double bye in the SEC tournament? They had to go out and do it on their own because Alabama, Arkansas loses that game that they had a control of at Bama. They have to go out and beat Tennessee at Tennessee to assure themselves of that. That didn't seem like it was their motivation from what was said after the game, but they went out and did that. This team has answered a lot of questions in a good way down the stretch, but we've all said it all year, man. It all depends on what happens this month. Whether this team gets remembered as a beloved team that, had great players that took this team to a promised land, or they're going to be a team that, man, they had a lot of good players, but they stunk in March. Are they going to fall in the 2022 boat when everyone loved Oscar and Ty, or are they going to fall in the 2015, 2012, 2014 boat? That's what we're waiting to find out.
Man.
Right?
Man,
I mean,
it
is right? I mean,
it's really that cut and dry. It really is.
I think so. I mean, I think for example, Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham, they're going to be loved forever, no matter what they do. They'll never have to buy a drink in the state of Kentucky ever again. But the rest of the team in this year, no one's going to give a damn about the regular season and how fun that it was if they lose in the second round to St. John's. I'm just throwing that name for fun. Wouldn't that be something? Or if they get bounced by McNeese or Moorhead, no one's going to give a damn about how fun they were to watch. They're going to be wanting to put John Calipari back on the hot seat.
Yeah,
that's a fact. That's right? A fact, man.
It's Kentucky, man.
Kentucky basketball, Alabama football fans are one and the same, man.
Hell yeah,
that's right. It's illegal to lose. You can. It is.
Just go on Twitter after a loss.
Dude, hey, I remember writing a mental note. I wanted to talk about this. I know people personally. I have, I would call them friends that are Kentucky fans. That every single thing they tweet is negative about Kentucky basketball.
Not surprised.
They have such lofty expectations. I mean, I'm starting to think they expect the guys to never miss a shot. I mean, it is crazy. And they are huge Kentucky fans. I mean, you go in their house, there's nothing in there red or orange or green. Everything is Kentucky blue. And they are the biggest Kentucky fans you'll ever meet, but everything they say, post, tweet is really, really negative when they're during the game, when they're watching the basketball game. I'm like, Jesus Christ, these people are human beings now. Like they may not get a rebound one time.
What does Cal always say?
Not machines, not robots.
There it is. Yep. There it is.
I'm like, they are. It is okay if they drop one game out of 30. It's okay. Like it's the world is not going to end. Like you're going to lose a couple times once in a lifetime. It's going to happen. You don't have to go undefeated every single year. I mean, I'm like, man, it's just, and Alabama fans will see that this year too. And Nick Saban saw it. Where the season he lost 2 regular season games. He did that a couple times, and it's like, man, you would think the world is going to end. Like it's like we lost a game. Like wow, but just saying, what Aaron was saying. Yes, if they were to go, if they were to win an SEC championship and go in the NCAA tournament and get bounced, I feel what Aaron is saying. Like I think that this team will be forgotten quick. Yeah. There'll be players that will be remembered because I think they got some players on this team that's going to be, stars in the NBA. I think.
I agree.
Those players will be remembered by what they did here, and it'll help carry on by what they'll do in the NBA. But if they were to win the SEC tournament and get bounced early in the NCAA tournament, it will be just another year for most Kentucky fans. They will forget about this team, and that's the sad reality of blue blood programs.
Yep.
You know, but you sign up for it.
100%. Yeah.
True.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly right.
That's it. It's
harsh. It's harsh.
It's very hard, and I think this team can win it all.
No doubt. No doubt.
I think this team. I remember my first time watching this team in the full game. Like, I'm trying to figure out how will they not win it all.
I sensed it in Canada, man. Like there's just so many weapons on this team.
Yeah.
It's a hard scout. That's why I'm saying if you get Trey Mitchell going too, like the way Justin Edwards has played, like how do you guard this team? You just pray they miss. You pray they have a 2010 West Virginia game and they just miss everything.
And that would
That's how you beat this team. You pray. Because I mean, or you score 120. One or the other.
Which is not happening.
No.
Yeah.
They're bad defensively, not that bad.
Yeah, they ain't that bad.
No.
Yeah. Because they put together a few stops, in Knoxville. They got a few stops.
They've been getting
able to separate. Timely. Yeah, like we talked about, Aaron. You get the career 220 hitter. He's up in the bottom of the eighth, and he gets a timely 2-out hit. Is he consistently going to rake? No, but a timely hit, and that's what they do with their defense. You get some timely stops because you're not going to hold teams to 55 points a game, but getting the stops when you got to have them.
And I think they did we talked about it going into the first Tennessee game where I thought their game plan should have been let Connect get his and make the other guys irrelevant. I think this time they did it. Right? Ziegler hit some shots, especially in the second half, but Josiah Jordan-James had a rough game. Vescovy was smothered. They really did a nice job on those guys, and Dalton Connect things. Some of the shots were even pretty well defended. He's just an unbelievable player who scored 40 freaking points, man. I mean, insane. But you still won the game because you were able to do enough on those other guys and make the other guys irrelevant. So it's just they did exactly what I thought they should have emphasized doing a month ago, and maybe it would have been a different result, but they did it, in enemy territories. And man, they're peaking at the right time. They're peaking when you want to peak. And, even if they lose a game in Nashville, the fans they'll have some things, they'll have all these terrible things to say, but it really all comes down to this NCAA tournament. It really does. If they win the SEC tournament, and then get bounced in the second round, is anyone going to give a crap about what happened in Nashville? Does anyone remember them winning the SEC? I'll phrase it this way. Their last SEC tournament win was 2017. Okay, that was the year they had Kevin Knox, Shea Gilgeous. That team wasn't very good. They got really lucky that Buffalo ended up winning, and they didn't have to play Arizona. Does anyone remember that team well?
It's what, 2018?
2017. 2018, yeah, 2018 tournament. Right.
17 was Fox and Monk.
I'm thinking 17 because I was a freshman when these guys were freshmen.
Okay,
but yeah, Kevin Knox, Shea, 2018 tournament. My bad. They won the SEC tournament. Right. Does anyone think fondly of that team?
No, that's just an average, mediocre.
Even the year before, or 2 years before, the Jamal
2016 Murray. Yeah, they didn't go. They won second round to Indiana.
That's my point. That's what's going to happen with this team. That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you. People will love the individual players. Like they love Jamal Murray to this day. They love Shea because he was the 4-star who worked his way to the starting lineup and now is an NBA MVP candidate. They're going to love Reed. They're going to love Rob. The whole team, they're not going to care about the rest, like outside of the stars. That's just how it's going to go. And they'll love Reeves too. But that's how it is, man. Like you said, Jay, it's Alabama football, it's Kentucky basketball, and a couple other, Yankees baseball. As a Yankee fan, I feel like it's pretty much that way. The Patriots for 2 decades, that's how it goes.
Yeah, I would love to see Kentucky match up with Houston.
Oh man, that'd be fun.
I would love to see that.
I think they're the teams playing the best right now, honestly, in the whole country.
I think Houston, the way they play on defense, man, the energy and the intensity that they play with, matched up with the prolific scoring of Kentucky, man. that would be a game to see. I wish I could be there. I mean,
yeah, and let's hope that's in the Final Four, not in the same bracket, because that would be.
Yeah. That's gonna be.
Yeah. They played them a few years ago with Tyler Hero,
Yes.
and it was all Kentucky could do to get past them. It was
And what's so impressive about Houston too, man, is they, they're all, it's like, oh, they were in the American, they beefed up their resume. Then they go to the Big 12 and they kicked ass. And the Big 12, are like, the SEC is really good. You can make the argument the Big 12 is just still a little bit better basketball wise. Like they
beat Kansas the other day the way the 2015 team beat Kansas when it was, it was 41-7 or whatever.
The UCLA game. UCLA.
Yeah. But they drilled Kansas like 70-something to 40-something that year too.
They were treating Kansas like they were Prairie View A&M, man. Like,
right. It was 34-9, and I'm like, this is woo.
Yeah, they were Prairie View. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Just dog walked them, man.
Yeah, they made a statement in that conference. I don't care if they win the same thing. Like, I don't care if they win the Big 12 tournament or not. They made their statement. Like, we're legit.
That coach, man. Yeah, they beat Kansas 46-76. They beat Kansas by 30 points. That coach at Houston, man, deserves more credit, national credit, in my opinion.
How has he not gotten a look at every job though? How is Louisville? How is that not the top guy for the Louisville? Like, I'm just as an example.
Yeah. Would he even leave Louisville for leave Houston?
I'm just throwing a hypothetical. Like, if Kentucky came open, if Louisville is open, if Indiana's like, Indiana, he was at Indiana, bad example, but I'm just saying, why is he not on the top of the big boys list every year?
Yeah.
Is it because he's old? Maybe because he's older? That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Probably.
But it seems not to matter. and his best player this year is from the portal, so he's adapting.
Yeah, 2014, Kentucky beat Kansas 72-40. That was the same time they destroyed UCLA. But that's what Houston did. Houston gave Kansas Kentucky 2014 flashbacks the other night.
Yeah.
Man,
They just I mean, they went 28-3 in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, Houston held a team to 31 points this year. I mean, it's UL Monroe, but still, 31 points.
It doesn't matter.
That's like YMCA basketball.
Yeah, their two losses were at Kansas, who's lost like 5 games at home the last 10 years. Shout out 2022 Kentucky.
That's right.
And then TCU, who's a really good team, by 1 point on the road. And then Iowa State, who's also a really good team, by 4 on the road. That's it.
Were you at the Fog when they beat Kansas by 20?
I literally started this job the next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was still finishing my stint as a sports editor up in Indiana. But
Keon Brooks's best game by far.
By far. That was an ass. Talk about getting dog walked. That was an ass kicking from the opening tip.
Absolutely.
And that's where unfortunately, that's when that team peaked. But
yeah, you're right.
But and that's a game that gets overlooked because of the that's my point with this year's team, right? That game gets overlooked. That was one of the most impressive wins of the Calipari era. No one gives a damn because of that stupid St. Peter's game.
Right. Yeah. It's and it shouldn't be the way, but it is.
Exactly. I'm not saying it should be that way. It just is.
We had Zach Gagan on here with us, Aaron, and we talked about how just the joy of seeing Z's first game, how he came in and looked like Jokic and showed out. But like you said, it'll be forgotten.
It's going to fall in that Kansas boat. It's going to be like the Kansas game. Exactly.
If it doesn't end in a long, prolonged.
How about the win at West Virginia when they were down 17 at half and Kevin Knox went nuke? Does anyone ever remember that game? No, because they sucked in the tournament. Like that's Kentucky, man. That's Kentucky. At Florida, at other schools, that would be like the Kevin Knox game.
Right.
People will be like, Kevin Knox had a good game. Like he was overrated. Like
right.
That's just how it goes.
And speaking of the Carter Knox committed since we were on last, so he'll be following his brother's footsteps.
It's gonna be another young team.
As we knew it was coming, Kyra Elsie has been relieving her duties on the women's side. Just wasn't able to get it going, man. And to me, you had to run where you win the SEC tournament and beat South Carolina, one of the Kentucky women and Iowa, like the only team beaten them in the past couple of years, I think. But it was almost kind of like the Joker year. You know, you beat Tennessee and you end this 28-year streak, and you got to bring him back. But are you sure that it's going to be? Are you optimistic that it's going to be any different? And you know, she won the SEC tournament, just wasn't any momentum, and just see that. So
you hate to see it, but the way I look at it too, though, is like women's basketball is awesome right now. Like, has it ever been a better, right? Like, I found myself, and I'll be straight up honest with you. I never watched outside of, when Ryan Howard was here, Maya Moore, maybe back in the day at UConn, living up there, some of those UConn teams that just won every single game. But I was never a huge women's basketball guy. The last 3 years, that's complete. Like, I watched almost every minute of the South Carolina LSU championship game and enjoyed it. We were all glued to the TV in the media room in Knoxville, seeing the ending of that South Carolina Tennessee game, the buzzer beater in the SEC tournament. What Caitlin Clark does every damn day. Like, it's a great product. And in Kentucky's a place that you're going to have the renovated gym open next year. You're in the SEC. You've got NIL money. It's a place you can win and turn into I'm not saying they're going to become South Carolina or LSU or UConn, but it's a place you can become a winner, like with Matthew Mitchell, where they were playing meaningful basketball every single year. And they need to get back to that, especially now when women's basketball is more fun and bigger than ever. And you got to take advantage of it. And they need to get a coach in here that's going to consistently bring in talent and win ball games. And unfortunately, that wasn't Kyra Elzy. And hopefully the next coach will be that.
And close the gap. Like you said, South Carolina and LSU that's the bar.
Yeah, that's the bar.
That's the last two national champs. You see how you mentioned the SEC tournament championship game. The game South Carolina goes to Baton Rouge and beats them a few weeks ago. That was high level. That's what you're trying to get to.
That fun last year when it was Iowa, South Carolina, LSU. I think some of those games were just better than the men's games. Like, it is what it is. They were. So you got to take advantage of it.
A lot better.
I don't disagree.
It's a lot more entertaining, man. Especially watching. Anytime I watch Iowa, anytime I watch South Carolina, LSU. I remember being a kid before going to bed for school the next day, back when North Carolina and Duke girls were playing, and I used to be glued to the TV, in the room watching it. And who was the little guard they had for North Carolina? Back in
Ivory Ladder.
Yeah, Ivory Ladder. Yeah. Back in what's that? 05, 06. And I remember watching. I'm like, man, this is kind of like exciting. I enjoy watching the girls play. So now it's on a whole nother level. I think the personalities now, and I also think, and this is my theory, with the NIL thing and the transfer portal, not only just the national news and how much is covered, but I think the personalities and the student athletes now are coming out due to the NIL. These kids, for some of them, have money now. They are a lot more confident in expressing themselves on and off the court and field. So you're seeing the personality like the pros, right? You got the Antonio Browns, the Randy Mosses, the Terrell Owens. The personalities come out. These people they feel like they're pros now, so they're acting like it. And the personalities are coming out, and they're boisterous, and they're confident, and sometimes cocky, and that's making it more WWE-ish. It's making it more entertaining. So, I think that's helping as well.
And, I'm kind of been a fan too, Aaron. You a Connecticut guy. I was watching the Tennessee Connecticut games when they were, Pat Summitt and Gino, and that was appointment television. I don't go back to the Louisiana Tech stuff back in the 80s, but I remember Cheryl Swoops and, getting the first female to get a shoe deal and the Air Swoops Nikes and all that. And it's continued to grow. There's more teams coming to the mix. Right now. Notre Dame, Mississippi State, South Carolina's coming, and it's exploded.
It's the players too, man. Yeah, obviously it starts with Caitlin Clark, but some of the girls on the Carolina roster, Angel Reese, Haley Van Lith on that LSU, there are names out there that people know and recognize, and that's a cool thing.
Yeah,
And Kentucky had one of those, obviously, in Ryan Howard.
Yeah,
It'd be cool to start getting those again. I know you're not gonna get Ryan Howard every year, but to get some girls that you really remember and are household names in the city of Lexington, and I'm not trying to diminish any, because there were some good players on this past team, like Ig Gepetti, who just hit the portal, but you got to start collecting that talent to get butts in the seats.
Yeah, that's it. And just down the road, Louisville has to do the same thing.
Yeah,
Louisville has to do the same thing with Kenny Payne, because they was 8 wins, followed up a 4-win season with an 8-win season.
They doubled it though.
Man, so
yeah, that was tough. I covered Kenny, really liked him. I thought it was going to be a good hire. I think Louisville fans probably even deep down thought it would too, right? When they first hired him, I get he was never a head coach type thing, but that's his school, man, and he did the players love some of the players, like you saw Julius Randle, Kevin Knox. They came back and traded with Kenny. They didn't come back to Kentucky. They were at Louisville working out. So you thought that stuff would translate. It didn't. That sucks. But they look, at the end of the day, as much as everyone in Big Blue Nation hates them, it's a top 10 job, and they should be able, as long as the money's right, they should be able to get just about, whether it's Scott Drew, Dusty May, they should, if they are able to make the right decision, they should be able to get a pretty darn good coach in there to make this rivalry fun again.
There's just so many bizarre things, when you said you called it Big Blue Madness when it was Louisville's Midnight Madness. You said that coach tricked me by playing a zone. You had one of your players sitting in the stands where he says he's on the team. Y'all say
the wrong pants or the wrong
stockings or whatever.
Oh my God.
And you allegedly got in a fight with this dude that's sitting in the stands. And it was just
it was a mess. It was a clown show, dude.
Man. Oh yeah.
And I just never would have thought that with Kenny, man.
You thought he had it together, man. But
100%.
Yeah.
So he'll be on the Kentucky bench next year. It's all good.
No doubt.
I mean, I'm sure Cal, he might even be on the freaking bench for the tournament. Who knows?
I'm sure Kenny Payne is I never met him personally. I've seen him, but I never met him personally. I'm sure he's an outstanding dude.
However, we saw him just real quick. We saw him in the tunnel before the game, this year, and he's saying hi to all the Kentucky media. You think John Calipari ever says hi to us? Like, good dude.
Yeah,
it goes a long way when they actually acknowledge us.
Yeah. I just know he's a great guy, but some of the stuff he said, like coaches tricking them.
Mike tricked me, man.
Oh shit!
Can you imagine Cal said that?
Hey, I'm like, dog. Somebody need to get this man some media fast. Like
that's like. Have I told you all the story of how I got Nick Richards sent to media training in here?
No.
Back in the 2019 NCAA tournament before they played Wofford. Wofford's tallest dude was 6'8". I asked him, how big of an advantage is your size? He's like, yeah, we're bigger and stronger than them in every aspect. He got sent to media training. But Kenny Payne's just being too open, that's not a great example of what Kenny did, but being too open, I get people get frustrated when coaches like Mark Stoops will never acknowledge an injury. You could have a torn ACL. He might not acknowledge it. But you don't have to say everything. You don't have to say he tricked me. You don't have to say his leggings didn't fit and he wouldn't play. You don't have to admit when you're way better than someone that, we're going to kick their ass. It's not going to be close. It's just stupid. Stupid.
Yes. Yeah.
But when he gave that answer, Emmanuel quickly was screaming in the hallway, "You're going back to media training."
Oh wow!
That's how I knew we got sent back to media training.
Well, back to, so that means already been to it once.
Well, they all did. So, yeah.
It's time to repeat it.
Exactly.
Oh man, fellas, we got a bunch in on this episode. Man, we got the tournament, got the March Madness coming up. So looking back at the tournament next episode. Coach Mark Hill coming in, talking about performance and what's changed and what hasn't changed, what's cutting edge and what's not, what to look into doing and what not to do, and how to handle all of that. And spring practice next week, so that'll be going as well. So a lot of good stuff, man. It's that time of year. Baseball and softball still doing their thing as well. Fellas, y'all have a good night, and we enjoyed bringing y'all this episode. Check back in with us. Appreciate everybody checking it out and watching on X and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube where we're all live. Follow, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Join us again next week for another episode of Believe in Kentucky. For Aaron Gershon and Jalen Whitlow, my name is Vinny Hardy, and we'll holler at y'all next time.